As I'm sure you can imagine, we are devastated and we are still processing all of this. And I will tell you right now, we do not know more than what I just shared with you.
Once admired by millions, now disappeared from the spotlight. How did Matt Lauer fall so quickly and deeply? We're going to follow the story of his rapid rise in media, the scandal that shattered his career, and the quiet life he leads today.
For millions of Americans, it was a stunning headline to wake up to. Matt Lauer, the longtime host of the Today Show, has been fired.
Matt Lauer's story begins in New York City, where he was born on December 30th, 1957. Growing up in a modest family, with his father a bicycle company executive and his mother owning a boutique, Matt's early life was far from the glamorous world of television news. His journey into broadcasting was not a straight path. Matt attended Ohio University as a young man with dreams larger than the classrooms could hold. However, college life was put on pause when he dropped out in 1979, a decision driven by an irresistible pull towards the buzzing world of media. This bold move was the start of what would become a remarkable career. Lauer's first step into broadcasting was behind the scenes as a producer for a noon newscast at WWK-TV in Huntington, West Virginia. His role was not in the spotlight, but it provided a crucial foundation in the workings of television news. By 1980, he had transitioned to an on-air position, delivering the evening news to households, his charisma beginning to seep through the screens. The early 1980s saw Matt moving from one role to another, each a stepping stone that took him closer to national recognition. He hosted PM Magazine in cities like Richmond, Providence, and New York City, gaining valuable experience and a growing fan base with his relatable demeanor and easy charm. However, the real turning point in Lauer's career came in 1986, when he returned to New York City. Here, he continued to refine his craft, co-hosting shows like Made in New York, which, despite its brief run, added to his local popularity. His persistence paid off when he joined WNBC in 1992, becoming a co-anchor for the station's early morning news show, Today in New York. This position was significant not only because it was on NBC's flagship station, but also because it positioned him perfectly for his next big break. Lauer's ability to connect with viewers during his early morning slots didn't go unnoticed. His reputation as a relatable broadcaster grew, paving the way for his eventual role on the national stage. In 1994, Lauer was chosen as the news anchor for NBC's Today Show, a coveted position that marked his official entry into Major League Broadcasting. Here, his approachable style and ability to handle both lighthearted segments and serious news effortlessly endeared him to millions of Americans. By 1997, he wasn't just a news anchor. He had ascended to the co-host, sitting alongside journalism giants, shaping the morning routines of viewers across the country. How did Matt Lauer climb the ranks to become one of TV's most trusted faces? Matt Lauer's rise to a prominent position on NBC's Today Show is a journey marked by significant achievements and moments of extraordinary coverage. From his first day in 1997 as co-host, Lauer not only became a household name, but also a defining face of morning television in America. During his tenure, Matt Lauer was at the forefront of major global events, bringing news and updates to millions of homes. He had an uncanny ability to switch from casual banter to delivering hard-hitting news with ease, a skill that made him indispensable as a morning show host. Whether it was the tragedy of 9/11, presidential elections, or the death of famed personalities, Lauer provided comprehensive coverage with a blend of professionalism and sensitivity. One of the most popular segments Lauer helmed was Where in the World is Matt Lauer? Started in 1998, this annual feature had Matt broadcasting live from different locations around the globe for 1 week. The segment not only satisfied the wanderlust of viewers, but also educated them about diverse cultures, landmarks, and the stories of people from around the world. From the Great Wall of China to the shores of the Maldives, Lauer brought the world to the breakfast tables of ordinary Americans. His ability to engage with a wide range of topics made him a versatile host. Lauer covered 5 Olympic Games, offering insights and behind-the-scenes looks that few could. His hosting of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade became a staple during the holiday season, where his warm presence became as familiar as the parade floats themselves. Lauer was also known for his compelling interviews with presidents, celebrities, and everyday people, displaying a knack for getting to the heart of the story. His interview style was often praised for its directness and ability to extract honest responses. He was trusted by viewers for his straightforward approach and was often the first choice for celebrities and political figures looking to tell their stories. But behind the camera, not everything was as it appeared. The atmosphere around NBC's Today Show took a sharp turn in late November 2017. Matt Lauer, a familiar and trusted face on morning television for over 2 decades, suddenly found himself at the center of severe allegations that shocked his audience and colleagues alike. The immediate cause was a complaint filed by a fellow NBC employee, which came to light on November 27, 2017. The complaint detailed inappropriate sexual behavior by Lauer during the 2014 Winter Olympics in Sochi, Russia, and indicated that such behavior was not an isolated incident. This revelation was particularly startling because it surfaced at the height of the Me Too movement, which was exposing sexual misconduct across industries nationwide. NBC's reaction was swift and decisive. Within 48 hours of the complaint being made public, Matt Lauer was fired from his position. NBC News chairman Andrew Lack released a statement to the staff explaining that this was the first complaint about Lauer's behavior in over 20 years at the network, but also acknowledged the possibility of additional incidents. The network expressed its commitment to creating a safe environment and emphasized that such behavior was completely unacceptable. The news of Lauer's dismissal was a bombshell that dominated headlines. It was not just the end of an era for Lauer and the Today Show, but also a moment of reckoning for the network and for morning TV viewers who had welcomed Lauer into their homes each day. The public and media scrutiny intensified quickly, with discussions about workplace behaviors and the responsibilities of employers to take swift action. As details emerged, the situation grew more complex. Additional reports surfaced, suggesting a pattern of behavior that extended beyond the initial allegations. Various accounts described encounters where Lauer allegedly used his position of power to engage in inappropriate actions with female colleagues. These stories painted a disturbing picture of a respected figure abusing his authority, leading to a broader debate about power dynamics within the media industry. NBC began an internal review to understand the extent of Lauer's misconduct and whether there had been failures in handling complaints in the past. This investigation aimed to identify any oversights and to implement stronger measures to prevent similar incidents. The fallout was significant, impacting the network's reputation and leading to calls for systemic changes to address such issues industry-wide. As the scandal unfolded, the effects were immediate. What happened next? The initial allegations against Matt Lauer opened the floodgates for more troubling stories to emerge. In the days following NBC's announcement of his termination, additional women came forward with their accusations. These stories echoed the original claims, but often revealed new layers of inappropriate behavior, some dating back many years. One of the most significant accusations was detailed in an article published by Variety, based on interviews with multiple women who had worked with Lauer. They described a consistent pattern of misconduct, inappropriate comments, suggestive gifts, and leveraging his position of power to demand sexual favors. Some women reported being summoned to his office, where he used a button under his desk to lock the door remotely. Another report, published in the New York Times, claimed that at least one complaint about Lauer's behavior had been made to NBC management years earlier, but had not resulted in any formal disciplinary action. This revelation raised questions about the network's internal handling of such matters and whether complaints had been effectively addressed. The public's response to these revelations was swift and fierce. Viewers who had trusted Lauer for years were shocked and disillusioned. The Today Show immediately distanced itself from its former anchor, with co-hosts Savannah Guthrie and Hoda Kotb addressing the allegations directly on air. Their emotional reactions underscored the disbelief and betrayal felt by the show's audience. Meanwhile, social media has become a platform for individuals to share their own experiences and frustrations. Hashtags like #MeToo and Time's Up gained momentum, reflecting a growing movement that demanded accountability for those in power who abused their positions. People expressed solidarity with the survivors and criticized both Lauer and NBC for their roles in the scandal. NBC, under intense scrutiny, attempted to rebuild trust with the public by conducting an internal review and promising to strengthen its policies around workplace conduct. Andrew Lack, NBC News chairman reiterated that the company had a zero-tolerance approach to sexual harassment and vowed to ensure that any future complaints would be dealt with transparently and effectively. Yet questions lingered about how much was known internally before the story broke, and whether NBC executives had overlooked warning signs. The network's response was seen by some as reactive rather than proactive, fueling skepticism about whether systemic changes would truly be made. As the media buzz around Lauer's downfall grew louder, some public figures who also previously worked with him spoke out. Some criticized his behavior directly, while others expressed disappointment and sadness over his actions. Those who had called Lauer a friend struggled to reconcile the man they knew with the allegations against him. The story doesn't end here. More allegations brought more trouble for Lauer. After the initial scandal broke and more allegations against Matt Lauer surfaced, the fallout was devastating for both his personal and professional life. He quickly found himself isolated from the world he once dominated and was left to confront the consequences. In the wake of the allegations, his wife of nearly 20 years, Annette Roque, filed for divorce. Reports indicated that their marriage had already been on shaky ground before the scandal, but the accusation solidified its collapse. Roque cited irreconcilable differences in her filing, and their divorce was finalized soon after. She walked away with a substantial settlement, including a large sum in cash and the couple's horse farm in the Hamptons. As a father of 3 children, Lauer also faced immense pressure to explain the events to his family. The ordeal placed significant strain on his relationships with his children, who suddenly found themselves in the middle of a media storm. Their father's legacy was shattered, leaving them to deal with public scrutiny and the loss of a stable family unit. In addition to the toll on his family, Lauer experienced professional exile. His once glittering career evaporated almost overnight, as NBC cut all ties and his reputation plummeted. Friends and former colleagues at the network publicly condemned his behavior, distancing themselves from their former co-anchor. Savannah Guthrie and Hoda Kotb, who had worked closely with Lauer, expressed their shock and sadness at the revelations, describing it as a betrayal. Professionally, no other networks were willing to risk their reputations by bringing Lauer into their ranks. He was effectively blacklisted from the industry. His name became synonymous with one of the biggest scandals in media, tarnishing not just his image, but also the broader landscape of morning television. Lauer sought solace in the seclusion of his estate in the Hamptons, where he was rarely seen in public. The once familiar face of American morning news became an outcast, his life characterized by isolation and strained attempts to rebuild his relationships. He struggled to regain his footing amid mounting public criticism and the fractured personal ties left behind. Attempts to repair his public image were largely unsuccessful. Lauer issued public apologies, acknowledging some of his wrongdoings but contesting others. However, his statements were widely criticized as half-hearted and insufficient. People felt that he had failed to take full accountability for his actions. With his personal life in chaos, Lauer's professional life also unraveled. Find out how he navigated the lasting implications of the scandal. After Matt Lauer's career at NBC suddenly ended, he chose to step back from the public eye. Once one of the most recognized faces in media, Lauer became a recluse, retreating to his Hamptons estate. He avoided major public appearances, maintaining a low profile as he tried to rebuild his life in private. Surrounded by acres of lush greenery, Lauer sought solace in the quiet of his surroundings. But his isolation was not without its challenges. For a man used to being constantly in the spotlight, the sudden silence was jarring. Cut off from the professional world he once thrived in, he relied on a close-knit circle of friends and family for support. Lauer's life was not entirely solitary, though. He occasionally ventured out to attend local events or meet with old friends. Still, he remained largely guarded, wary of prying eyes and the critical media. His relationships with his children were strained, but gradually improved as he tried to mend familial bonds. His attempts to make a comeback in the media industry were quietly quashed by public disapproval. No network was willing to offer him a platform, and his name was tainted by the scandal. To fill the void left by his career, Lauer took up hobbies like horseback riding and writing, but nothing could replicate the fulfillment he found in journalism. Despite the efforts to maintain his privacy, Lauer couldn't completely escape the fallout. He continued to face backlash, particularly after Brooke Nevels, a former NBC staffer, gave a detailed account of her alleged encounter with him. Public sentiment remained against him, and each new wave of scrutiny kept his past actions at the forefront of public consciousness. Even as he tries to move forward, Lauer still struggles to regain his footing. He's a far cry from the charismatic host who once graced millions of screens each morning. Today, he navigates a world where his reputation is forever tarnished, and he remains to many a symbol of the consequences of betrayal. Away from the spotlight, how is Matt Lauer managing today? The answer may surprise you. Despite Matt Lauer's tarnished reputation and public outrage following the 2017 scandal, whispers of a potential comeback have occasionally surfaced. Some believed that with time, he might be able to rebuild his image and make a return to media. However, the path to rehabilitation has proven to be an uphill battle for Lauer. His earliest attempts at reviving his career started with private meetings among old media contacts. However, the sentiment was clear. Most networks and production houses were not interested in working with him again, given the severity of the allegations against him. In an industry sensitive to public opinion, any affiliation with Lauer was viewed as a risk. In the years following his dismissal, Lauer reportedly explored various avenues for a return. Writing became one outlet for him, but publishers were wary of associating with him. Even as he shopped around ideas for books and op-eds, none of his proposals gained traction. Rumors also floated about potential podcast projects, which would have offered Lauer an independent platform outside traditional networks. He considered creating a space to discuss his side of the story or to delve into broader social issues, but these projects never materialized. Public sentiment remained hostile towards him, and any attempt to air his views was met with skepticism and criticism. Lauer's desire to return to broadcasting was hindered not just by the lack of opportunities, but also by a changing cultural landscape. The Me Too movement brought heightened scrutiny to those accused of misconduct, leaving little room for rehabilitation. Each public citing or mention of his name triggered renewed discussions around the allegations, making it nearly impossible for him to gain a foothold. He's occasionally made vague allusions to returning in interviews or through his friends, but nothing concrete has emerged. Instead, he remains on the periphery of public life, likely knowing that a return to his former stature is improbable. Is a comeback even possible? Up next, we'll look at the potential for Lauer's return to public life. Matt Lauer's downfall in 2017 left a significant impact on the media industry, igniting important conversations about workplace conduct. His sudden fall from grace, after years as a trusted figure, triggered immediate changes in how media organizations handle reports of misconduct, reinforcing the need for greater accountability at every level. One of the most significant impacts of the scandal was its role in sparking a broader awareness of power imbalances in workplaces, particularly in the media. The revelations about Lauer, who was considered untouchable due to his high-profile position, demonstrated how misconduct could continue even in seemingly professional environments. As a result, several media organizations revisited their internal policies to better address and prevent such behavior. Another lasting impact is how his story continues to serve as an example in discussions on workplace culture and ethical standards. Lauer's actions became a rallying point for advocates of the Me Too movement, which demanded swift consequences for those abusing their positions of power. He became a symbol of how deeply ingrained these issues were, reinforcing that no one, regardless of status, was immune to scrutiny. In the years since the scandal, his legacy has become a topic of ongoing debate. Many of his contributions to the media, such as his extensive event coverage or the Where in the World is Matt Lauer segment, have faded into the background. Instead, his legacy is now largely defined by his scandal, which altered public perception of a once beloved host. In a larger sense, his story has made it clear that transparency, accountability, and safe reporting channels are essential for workplaces everywhere. His story emphasized the importance of listening to victims and supporting them when they come forward. The media industry learned valuable lessons from Lauer's case, prompting companies to put mechanisms in place to foster safe and respectful environments. Matt Lauer's story is a dramatic story of success, scandal, and exile. It raises important questions about power, accountability, and the potential for redemption. What are your thoughts on Matt Lauer's journey and the lessons learned? Share them in the comments section below. Please like, subscribe, and click on that bell for more insightful videos.